One. So welcome to another episode of the Powercast. We are into a slightly different topic today, and that is 5 tips to get shredded at home during the Corona lockdown. So as of last night, all gyms are closed in the UK now, and this follows suit as a lot of other countries, including the US, Canada, Spain, Italy, France, pretty much everywhere else. So we thought it was incredibly relevant to help you guys in terms of how you can optimize your training at home and some other tips that we can give you so that you do not fall backwards during this period. Do not use this time as an excuse to have a victim mentality and think, woe is me. This is the same for everyone, and we will come out stronger than this. So today, pleasure to have Jeremy, aka Custom Physique, on the podcast, head coach of CJ Coaching with me. So we are going to give you a run through with our top 5 tips to get you killing it at home or outdoors if you're allowed outdoors, depending where you are during this Corona lockdown. So welcome, Jeremy.
Hello, mate. Thank you for having me on again.
Pleasure. So he's just been telling me he's been on a rampage to go and get 3 sets of kettlebells for yourself. So that's an interesting one. He's got himself stocked up. So the first thing we're going to talk about in terms of tips, and we'll get straight into this, you guys, is isometric training. So obviously, if you're training at home and you normally train in the gym, the main variable you tend to use in the gym to try and improve your physique, a lot of time would be using like an artificial load in terms of obviously from a machine or a weight. And obviously with your body weight or limited weight equipment at home, we have a very limited ability to increase load. Therefore, we have to look at other aspects in terms of how can we put our body through more of a difficult process during a workout with minimal weight. Therefore, we need to look at more sort of time and attention work and isometric training in that respect. So we're looking to create more of a metabolic stress onto the muscle to burn fat and produce muscle instead of just heavy loading and breaking down fibers in that respect. So first topic we want to talk about is isometric training and time and attention, slowing things down. So how do you find, you got any tips from that on your side of things, Jeremy?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, one of the things that we need to remember is throughout this time, because we're not going to be able to overload our muscles like we would in the gym, like you've just been talking about, Charlie, is that most of the stuff we're going to be doing is more to keep us active, keep us mobile, maintain a certain level of fitness, and still to be able to burn some calories whilst we're in lockdown. And my 3 favorite things to do in terms of home workouts, and to be fair, most bodyweight exercises are difficult enough as it is, especially if you do enough reps of them. But if you do find bodyweight exercises quite easy, then the 3 strategies that I usually implement are do stuff unilaterally. So, for example, if you find bodyweight squats too easy, then try doing it one-legged and using like the sofa or a chair to stop you. I promise you won't be able to do many of those. And then, as you said, time under tension. If you try and do a bodyweight squat and take like 10 seconds to get down to the bottom, you're soon going to build up some lactic acid and some blood flow into the muscles. So those aren't going to last very long either. And then utilizing pauses. So, for example, on press-ups is a perfect one. If you're really strong on press-ups, try and pause at the bottom for 5 seconds and then see how many you can do of those. And it quickly builds up in difficulty.
Yeah, 100%. I think like we're going to give you a couple of like strategies here in terms of some intensifiers that you can do. So, for example, if you want to talk about slowing down reps, if you try this, for example, if you're going to do, say, for example, we're going to use a squat as an example again. If we do like 10 seconds set, so if you did 10 seconds on the way down as you squat down, a 10-second pause at the bottom, 10 seconds on the way up, really focus on squeezing through your quads. I can guarantee you're probably not going to be able to do more than 10 reps of that, and you will.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Your legs will be burnt out. And then you can go to the extent of supersetting, adding more exercises in, doing giant sets, and keeping the rest periods down. So that will be absolutely killer. If anyone tries that, so 10 seconds down on a squat, hold the 10-second bottom at the bottom, and 10 seconds the way up. Tag me and Jeremy on Instagram stories. Be appreciated to see if you can do more than 10 reps of that.
There we go, CJ Bodyweight Challenge.
That is the CJ Bodyweight Challenge, because I think I might have to try for IGTV later on and see if I'm going to film it, see if I can do it myself. I've called myself out on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to do that as well, to be fair.
Actually, yeah, we'll do that. And in terms of some other things. So for example, like I like, there's a system obviously doing like 21s, for example, with like using, say, for example, you could do with like partial reps. So again, using the squat as an example, as we've already spoken about that. If you're going to do, you could do 7 partial squats at the bottom, 7 top half squats, and then 7 full squats. And that would be 1 set. And like, you can do that with absolutely any exercise. So these are all the sort of things myself and Jeremy are putting into programs for clients at the moment, are like intensity techniques using body weight, so that we can really get people working hard and smart at the same time with limited equipment and what we have available. So like the key here is just being creative and having experience and a plan of what you want to do and being accountable to that would be what I really suggest is the key. Have you got any other intensity techniques that you're a big fan of, Jeremy?
Well, one of the things that I was just thinking of at the moment really is that I find, because programming to a certain extent when you've got so much equipment available to you in a gym is, relatively speaking, fairly simple, because you've got so much there to use. So I find that when you have to create programs where equipment is limited or non-existent, because you have to think so much outside the box to make things so much more difficult, they actually become a lot harder than the workouts that you would end up doing in the gym. So stuff like, still using the squat as an example, if you want to superset that with stuff like box jumps or jumping lunges or anything explosive, using as a superset builds up so much lactic acid and blood flow into the muscles that your legs are going to feel like absolute lead by the end of it, and you're not going to be able to move them.
I 100% agree with that. And I think this now is just an opportunity for you to think outside the box and really to push yourself, because like these workouts will be very different to what a lot of people have done. So you probably actually find you might end up with a lot of DOMs from this afterwards.
So I think I'm going to struggle now that I have to do stuff at home, to be perfectly honest.
I did some in Canada outside, and I even like doing burpees and things like that, which I'm not really used to. I forgot how hard it was, and it was at altitude as well, so I thought it was so that's something that makes a big difference. So that'd be tip number 1, would be looking through like isometric training, time under tension, and varying obviously like rep speeds and things like that is the key to trying to make exercises more difficult. Next, we're going to come up to manual resistance. So if you've got someone you can train with at home, for example, you could do, like, by manual resistance essentially means someone else basically pulling against you. So like an easy example would be for, like, if you had a tea towel as an example, or a towel, you could use that doing bicep curls and have someone pull resistance against you. Would work well. Or you could do something, you could even do like hamstring. So you could do a lying towel hamstring curl and have someone putting resistance through the towel, like around your ankles, and you pulling against it would be a way to add manual resistance to that. So there is loads of ways to increase intensity and load, and ways we can create resistance. So in terms of, if you haven't even got any weights, quite an easy option, something you can use, which we all have, is something like a suitcase or a bag, and just fill it full of stuff, like, I don't know, packets of rice and pasta and whatever, to make it heavier. And that could be an object you can use to do cleaner presses with. You could do stiff leg deadlifts with. You could do goblet squats with. There's loads of different things you can do if you're not lucky enough, like Jeremy, to sneak in and manage to get yourself a set of kettlebells prior to this all coming through. So like that'd be tip number 2, be using manual resistance. Tip number 3, in terms of what we can do in terms of home workouts, would be looking at using something like bands and using resistance bands. And I know Jeremy's been putting together some more killer workouts for clients with bands. So have you got anything in particular you like using for that?
Literally anything. So as you've touched upon with the manual resistance already, literally the sky's the limit in terms of the stuff that you can create. So the other day I was trying to think of loads of exercises that you could do with bands to train legs, and I was thinking there must be a way to replicate a sort of like a leg extension movement. So I literally just played around, sat on my seat, had the D handles of the bands, wrapped them around my trainers, and then just sat there, did it unilaterally, one leg at a time, really focused on the time under tension and the squeeze. And it was actually quite a difficult and good workout, to be fair. And then coach Eugene on Instagram put up a video of how you can utilize bands by putting it around your neck and then tying the other ends like under your feet,
Yeah.
resting back up against the wall to replicate a hack squat.
Yeah.
And I thought that was another really, really clever idea that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about immediately, because a hack squat's quite a specific machine and movement. But if you take the time to have a think about what the movements actually entail, and then you look at your environment, you can recreate quite a lot of stuff using bands.
I think people need to think of it is the movement pattern. You got to think, what movement am I trying to replicate, and how can I do this with my limbs and add some sort of resistance or load where possible.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, as you touched upon as well, because the way that our body changes is by forcing it to do stuff that it's not used to and creating adaptation. So the fact that everyone's going to be forced to do stuff that they've probably never done before and aren't used to doing is still going to create some sort of reaction and get our bodies to change in a way.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
So that's one of the positives coming out of all of this.
And I think this is where everyone needs to look at this as a glass half full, not half empty scenario. You will learn a hell of a lot about yourself as a person coming through this, because when you suddenly learn to actually work out and train with limited equipment, you will then firstly take a huge appreciation for what you have available to you. It's funny enough, I actually went to the supermarket quickly this morning, and it's incredible how polite and courteous everyone was to everyone, because I think everyone respects everyone there, and also how grateful everyone was to the staff working at the supermarket, because it's funny how in reality that the priorities of who's the most important people in the world have suddenly changed. The three most important people in the world at the moment are medical staff in the hospitals, delivery drivers, and supermarket workers. That is like the most important three people in the world, not professional athletes, celebrities, anything like that. No one gives a shit about them anymore. If you can't buy food and you're the world's not going to be a good place. You can't buy food and toilet roll. So I thought that was quite interesting, but I'm digressing from our topic slightly. But in terms of next tip we're going to move on to, so that was tip number 3, was using resistant bands, and some tips on how you can do that. And again, for clients working with us, we already have workout programs going out to you all already at the moment. And I've also got a free home workout plan available on my Instagram for anyone who wants to get involved, because we're here to try and help you through this difficult period. So we're now going to take you on to tip number 4, which is going to be on high intensity circuits. So we'd use this for a lot of cardio, and at the end of maybe some of the more intense body weight workouts. So like really basic things, like I said, I was doing this in Canada with things like burpees, jumping jacks. Like these things are so basic, but when you do them, they're incredibly difficult, and we get out of breath very, very fast. Like I think I was doing circuits of 25 burpees, 25 jumping jacks, and then like 25 like running with high knees, and then like my heart rate was through the roof from that. So doing little circuits like that, for example, like jumping jacks, high knees, burpees, do 25 of each of those, and then take a 30-second rest, and then repeat that 4 times. I can guarantee you'll be pretty knackered from that alone. So like, is there any other killer exercises you're a fan of in terms of body weight cardio?
To be fair, literally, I love those types of exercises. Anything that's super simple and that's a movement that you probably do every day, as soon as you add intensity to it. So like you say, the high knees, or like step ups is one of my favorite exercises, because it's so simple. You step up onto things every single day when you're walking up the stairs, but then when you use it as an actual exercise and try and increase and do it for time, do it as quickly as you can, it's incredible how quickly you get out of breath. But yeah, burpees is like one of the best ones, because it's pretty much like a total body exercise. Anything explosive, so like body weight, like squat jumps, alternating jumping lunges, if you can do those.
They're horrendous. Yeah,
that's a killer. I mean, the lactic acid buildup on those is just unreal. That'll ruin you pretty quick. I'm just trying to think of any others that I can think off the top of my head. Anything where you're moving, yeah, like you said, the jumping jacks, high knees.
Burpees are killer.
Yeah, hate burpees. There are a select few people who actually like burpees, but it's not very common.
People are a bit sick in the head. So that's tip number 4 in terms of HIIT circuits. an absolutely great way to blast calories and fat off in a very short period of time. And you don't need a lot of space to be able to do those for terms of cardio. So if you're in an area where you can't go outdoors at the moment, HIIT circuits like that body weight will work great for you. So that's tip number 4. And lastly, we're going to come into tip number 5. And this is the most important, in my opinion. And it's keeping accountable and having your diet on lockdown. So during this period, some people are losing their fucking minds, let me swear, but are watching the media, thinking the world's coming to the end. Like, the world is not coming to an end. We will get through this. Don't go out and buy toilet roll and Oreo cookies and eat until you pass out. And like, that's not what this period is about. This period should give you an idea in terms of like you appreciating the people around you and your own mental strength to come through this. And like, a lot of people want to preach about how they're hardcore and how they're strong individuals. Like, now's the time to prove it. So like, I've seen not our clients, but I've seen other people just falling off the wagon massively. And that's what we're here for as coaches, to help people stay on track and keep progressing with their fitness goals. This is not an opportunity to let things slip up. And like, if more so than anything, now is the chance where you actually need more help, more guidance, more accountability. Interesting, like me and Jeremy saying, there's been a lot of hugely supportive messages from our clients and our client WhatsApp group, supporting each other and like sharing tips and journeys. Like, a few of them are working in medical services as well, so they see it from the inside as well. So I think it's been quite interesting, isn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah, 100%. It's been like, despite how savage and animalistic a lot of people have been behaving in this time, it's so nice to see the other end of the scale where people have really, really been pulling together and really helping lift each other up and push each other forwards in this, like, it is a difficult time at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things, you just have to see this as an opportunity to build yourself mentally and also now physically as well. And these like 5 tips will help you massively. So myself and Jeremy are here for anyone through this period. Anyone who's got any difficulties at all, drop us a message. My Instagram is Charging Up to Fitness, as I hope you all know. Jeremy's Custom Physique. Drop me an email, whatever it is, anything you need support with, we're here to help. I'm going to be on Instagram Live every single day for the next 2-3 weeks as a minimum to try and help you guys. Any questions you have at all. Hope you found these 5 tips helpful in the podcast. To get your own copy of the free home workout and the CJ Coaching app, hit the link below the podcast. That will be available for you there, guys, as well. And also, if you want to reach out for any more direct help, feel free to drop me an email or complete the application there. Have you got any last words of advice, Jeremy, to wrap things up?
Yeah, two things that I wanted to say. And the first one's going to be that actually the fact that we can't always get the same food that we've always gotten, and stuff that everyone's kind of freaking out because they're like, oh, I can't get half the stuff that's on my plans. But actually, the way you should look at it is this is an opportunity to try and learn about what you're meant to be having every day, to try and sort of like recreate the meal plans that you get given and the macro breakdowns by looking at the foods that you can get and trying to see how best you can apply those so that you can try and keep it as close to what you would normally do as you can. Whereas it's so easy when you get given a plan to just follow it without really figuring out the mechanics behind it. So I think this is a great opportunity for people to learn. And then one last thing is exactly as you were saying at the beginning, like, think about the people that are really important at the moment, particularly the health workers. And if everyone goes out and carries on their panic buying, when all these people get off shift and they have to go and try and buy like their own food for themselves, they're not going to have anything left. But we need them more than ever at the moment. So be mindful about what you're doing is what I'd say.
Now is an opportunity for everyone to look after each other as like human beings, and be more human, if that's the word. Like, take time to appreciate the other people around you, everyone who helps you, the people you work with, your employer, like your coach, like clients. Just appreciate each other and the opportunity you have to be alive and to like interact, like the sun shining outside. Like, appreciate the small things, because and like the freedom that you still have, like within reason to do what you want now. Obviously it's been restricted quite a lot. Like, for me personally, it's made me think like how lucky we are to have the lives we have. Whereas now, like you said, like you had the gym taken away from you, you can't go and train there, you can't go and eat out for dinner. My 2 favorite things.
Yeah.
So like, it's like you suddenly start to appreciate all these small things in life you take for granted. So my last message to anyone is do not take anything for granted. You still have a body that functions, you're still alive, you're still healthy, you still have food, you still have the opportunity to progress yourself physically and mentally. So take this opportunity by chance, take everything you can, because you never know when it might be taken away from you. So I hope you guys found this podcast, videos also going on to YouTube and Facebook helpful. We'll wrap things up there, but if you need any help from either of us, drop us both a message and we will get you through these difficult times. So no doubt there'll be lots more podcast videos coming from myself and Jeremy next days, weeks and coming months. So thank you very much, Jeremy.
Thank you, mate.